Good evening, I'm Oteli Edwards. Tonight's top stories. A three-way contest for the presidency officially begins as Mr. Ng Kok Song, Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam and Mr. Tan Kin Lian get confirmed as candidates for the upcoming election. Clearing the air on allegations about a smear campaign. Mr. Tan Kin Lian withdraws accusations against Mr. Tharman but maintains there are concerted efforts to smear his name. The National Development Ministry seeks clarity on the Aljurit Hougang Town Council saga. It's asking for information on the powers and duties of Workers' Party leaders Sylvia Lim and Pritam Singh over payment and procurement processes. And also tonight, months of political deadlock comes to an end in Thailand after lawmakers approved tycoon Seta Thavisin as the kingdom's next prime minister. A three-way contest for the presidency is officially underway. Vying for the role of Singapore's next head of state are former GIC investment chief, Mr. Ng Kok Song, former senior minister, Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, and former NTUC income chief, Mr. Tan Kin Lian. All three have successfully filed their nomination papers. Richard Matthew with more.
The People's Association, an organization with a mission to build and bridge communities to achieve one nation, one Singapore, and perhaps apt that its headquarters along King George's Avenue was chosen as a nomination center for the upcoming presidential election. Even before the three hopefuls arrived to file their nomination papers, supporters braved the heat and started streaming in to cheer them in person. These are Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam's supporters. Decked in burgundy shirts, some had the words Team Tharman on them. And when he arrived at 10:30 a.m., Mr. Ng Kok Song had arrived half an hour earlier. He was accompanied by his fiancée, Sibyl Lau, and his team of proposer, seconder and assenters. With a smile, he waved at his supporters as he made his way into the building. Mr. Tan Kin Lian had his family by his side, followed by his team shortly after. Before long, officials started putting up the first of the nomination papers on the notice board. This allowed the candidates and their teams to scrutinize the documents and raise objections, if any. And since there weren't any, the returning officer made the official announcement of a three-cornered contest.
Result of nominations. Mr. Ng Kok Song, Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, and Mr. Tan Kin Lian are the candidates who have been nominated for the election to the office of President of the Republic of Singapore. As a returning officer, I hereby direct that the poll be conducted on the 1st of September 2023.
The announcement was greeted with shouts of joy from the supporters of the three candidates. The candidates then made their case to Singaporeans.
I'm standing for President to protect these three treasures. The first treasure is our reserves. I can protect the reserves. I spent my entire career at GIC and MAS helping to build up our reserves. Our second treasure is good public administration. I worked 45 years in public service. I have what it takes to uphold the integrity of public service appointments. Our third treasure is our social stability, where Singaporeans have lived in peace and harmony regardless of race, religion, or political affiliation.
I look forward to a fair, dignified and honourable contest focused on what each of us bring to Singaporeans and what each of us bring for our future. It is our future that we are concerned about. And friends, it will be a different future. It will be a more difficult and challenging future that we face, which is the reason why I have entered this contest, to offer all my experience and capabilities on the ground for a few decades, nationally and internationally, so that I can serve Singaporeans in the role of President with all my heart in the years to come.
I'm standing for election as President of Singapore. I want to give the people of Singapore a chance to vote for a President who is truly independent of the ruling government. If I am elected, I will carry out my duties as set out in the Constitution, diligently, honestly, and to the best of my ability. These duties are to safeguard the reserves and uphold the integrity of the public service. I ask for your support so that I can do my best for the people.
That marks the start of the 9 days of campaigning, and the candidates did not waste any time greeting supporters as they walked out of the nomination centre. More than 2.7 million Singaporeans will be eligible to vote for their 9th head of state on the 1st of September.
Well, amid all the hustle and bustle, candidates also revealed their official symbols. These will eventually be seen on the ballot paper come 1st of September as another way for voters to identify candidates. Well, they shared the meaning behind their symbols and campaign themes. Mr. Ng Kok Song says the slogan of his election campaign is United for a Future, and his symbol is the 5 fingers of an open hand.
What do those 5 symbols, what do those 5 fingers symbolize? They symbolize the various races in Singapore. And the palm signifies that although we might be people who come from different races, different religions, we are one palm, we are one country.
Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam's campaign is focused on respect for all. His symbol is the pineapple, known in Hokkien as Ong Lai.
It is a symbol with a lot of meaning to all our communities. Ong Lai, it is a propitious and welcome symbol for many people. When we move into a new home, when we start a new business, when we want good luck and good things to happen. It is our future.
And as for Mr. Tan Kin Lian, his campaign slogan is Bring Back Trust, Give Us Hope. His symbol is 4 figures reaching out toward a flower.
My campaign symbol is living in harmony, and it is the 4 figures represent the major ethnic groups in Singapore, and they are all reaching out, hope for a better future.
What are they reaching out for? Is it a flower? Is it a star?
No, it's reaching out for hope for a better future. That flower represents a hope for a better future.
Presidential candidates are looking to engage voters in their own ways. So let's take a look at what they have planned over the next 9 days.
I'm going all out so that more Singaporeans can know me, can meet me. Because I have a disadvantage that I have never been in the political limelight. So over the last 4 weeks, I have tried my very best to reach out to all Singaporeans, and especially to our younger generation. So I have put a lot of my energy and resources using social media.
I'm going to be doing what I've always done. As I've said, I'm not going to change my personality because I've been at this for more than 20 years. I enjoy meeting people, I enjoy interacting with them, I enjoy solving their problems, I enjoy being with them when they go through their joys and frustrations. I'm not changing. I have a track record on the ground, nationally and internationally, which I believe allows the elected presidency to play a full role in the future for Singapore.
The next 9 days, I will have a walkabout because there are so many places in Singapore. So even the 9 days have gone, and another 9 days, it's not enough. So I will go on the walkabout. And originally, I planned to have a rally on Friday, but I found that the venue is too expensive, and the expenses are too expensive.
A presidential candidate, Mr. Ng Kok Song, wasted no time in getting his campaign started after his candidacy was confirmed. His first stop is his childhood home at Kangka, which is now Sengkang. Well, upon arrival at the place where he was born, Mr. Ng sank to his knees and kissed the ground. He said he lived there till he was 24 in a house with a thatched roof, mud floor and 2 bedrooms. And during his visit, he stopped by the Kangka Mall and visited a nearby Catholic church. When asked about his thoughts of an alleged smear campaign against Tan Kin Lian, Mr. Ng said he does not want to criticize his opponent.
I want to win this election by my merits, not to point out other people's faults. But I think we must, if we want to stand for the president, we must respect people. Respect people of all generations, of all gender. So I hope to be able to honor that, to do that.
Now, Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam's campaign is also up and running. His posters are already seen in various districts, and they include Hougang, Tampines and Choa Chu Kang. Mr. Tharman is also expecting to hold a town hall meeting on Friday where he will share more about his vision for the presidency. With the Elections Department encouraging candidates to campaign using platforms such as broadcast and social media, physical meets need approval from the site owner and also a police permit. The police permit must be submitted at least 2 days before the intended date of the event. A presidential candidate, Mr. Tan Kin Lian's team, is also kick-starting their campaign. The team says they will begin putting up campaign posters from midnight. No further details were given. Well, still ahead on News Tonight. As campaigning for the presidential election begins in earnest, controversy looms large, with one candidate calling himself a target of a smear campaign.
My Mitsubishi Electric StarMax aircon saves me energy and money. It's easy to clean and is so quiet.
Welcome back. More now on our coverage of the presidential race. Well, one candidate has called for a fair, dignified and honourable contest. Another is alleging that he is the victim of a smear campaign. Marcus Tan with more.
Mr. Tan Kin Lian says he's been the target of what he calls a smear campaign over the last few days. It concerns screenshots taken of his older Facebook posts where he's used the phrase "pretty girls." On a Facebook live stream on Tuesday morning, Mr. Tan says he has no evidence, but believes it's all orchestrated by, quote, a party backing his biggest opponent. He goes on to name Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam. After being nominated, Mr. Tharman addresses the matter for the first time with the media.
I saw something this morning. I'm glad that Mr. Tan Kin Lian has withdrawn that suggestion. It certainly goes against everything I represent, which I've stated repeatedly. The need to focus on candidates' ability to contribute to Singapore, avoid smear campaigns of any sort, clearly I have nothing to do with it, but I'm very sure that no one backing me has anything to do with it either.
Mr. Tan also shared what Mr. Tharman said to him.
He assured me that they are not on his team. But of course, I'm not too sure whether he knows what somebody else are doing on his behalf.
Mr. Tan maintains there is a concerted effort by an attack group, which he alleges includes the media.
I want to say something to the media. The people trust you to be honest and fair. Now, how can you just smear me based upon something which is quite frivolous, and you make it into a big issue?
He is also accused women's advocacy group Aware and the Presidential Elections Committee of being involved.
The Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore has put out advisories urging the public to protect themselves online. Well, this comes as many election-related activities are in the digital space. Well, CSA says people should also be wary of phishing attempts, usually in the form of emails and messages, especially those that appear to be sent by or linked to candidates. The public should scrutinize the web page address or URL link and should not disclose sensitive information or provide unnecessary financial payments. People should also only download apps or software from official sources and pay particular attention to the security permissions. And here is what to expect from now till polling day on the 1st of September. Television is a key avenue for the presidential campaigns because of its reach. It allows voters to assess candidates' decorum and dignity in keeping with the office of president. Each candidate will get 2 blocks of 10 minutes of airtime across MediaCorp TV and radio channels on the 24th and 30th of August. CNA will also broadcast live a presidential forum on Monday, 28th of August. That will also be streamed on CNA's YouTube channel and Facebook page. A repeat telecast will go out on Channel 5 the next day. Campaigning in the form of rallies are not encouraged, and there will be no designated rally sites. Posters and banners may be used to line public roads, but must abide by conditions of the returning officer. All election campaigning must stop the day before polling day. This 24-hour cooling-off window is to give voters time to reflect on issues and make a wise and rational decision when casting their ballot. And of course, the D-Day itself is next Friday, which has been declared a public holiday. Some 2.7 million Singaporeans are eligible to cast their votes, and more than 1,200 polling stations will be set up to reduce waiting time for voters. And this year, portable booths for nursing home residents and optional postal voting for overseas Singaporeans will also be available. The National Development Ministry has asked Aljunied Hougang Town Council for information on the duties and powers of Workers' Party leaders Sylvia Lim and Pritam Singh, specifically their involvement in payment and procurement dealings of the Town Council. The ministry adds that further regulatory action would be considered. The ministry's statement is the latest development in a long-running case against WP leaders over negligent handling of some $33 million of the Town Council's funds. The ministry is asking AHTC for clarity on Ms. Lim and Mr. Singh's specific powers and duties when it came to the Town Council's payments and procurements. It also wants to know if the Town Council intends to take any action in relation to Ms. Lim and Mr. Singh. This, given findings by the Court of Appeal that they had acted without good faith. It's also asking for information on what other actions the Town Council would take. The MND statement notes that the Court of Appeal had found Ms. Lim and Mr. Singh to be grossly negligent. They allowed the managing agent to pay itself and others without proper controls. Also, Ms. Lim was responsible for a contract to a company that charged 4 to 7 times more than an existing vendor. Both Ms. Lim and Mr. Singh remain town councillors and hold various committee positions. As such, they may continue to be involved in payment and procurement decisions. MND adds that in the interest of safeguarding public monies, the minister would consider further steps to take under the Town Councils Act. One legal expert says these could include a range of measures.
Minister can ask for a compliance review to just review the internal processes of the Town Council in question. the more harsh, I suppose, discourse where minister can then report certain potential offences that may be revealed to the police.
MND has told CNA that it has given the town council 2 weeks to reply. If no response is received, it would check in with AHTC to understand the circumstances before deciding on the next steps. CNA has contacted AHTC for comment. A correction order has been issued to Reform Party leader Kenneth Jeyaretnam. It relates to 3 false statements he posted on his Facebook page and X. Second Law Minister Edwin Tong instructed the POFMA office to issue the directive. This is the 3rd time in over a month that Mr. Jeyaretnam was issued a POFMA order. He falsely claimed that last week's arrests of 10 foreigners for forgery and money laundering offences were the result of pressure from China. The POFMA office clarified that the arrests were not made at the request of any foreign party. No foreign parties were informed of these cases before the arrests. Mr. Jeyaretnam also falsely stated on Facebook that the Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau's probe into Minister S.S. Warren and Ong Beng Seng was also a result of foreign pressure. The Bureau came across information on the minister while it was investigating a separate matter. There was no foreign pressure. Mr. Jeyaretnam also made untrue statements about the rentals of the Ridout Road properties to Ministers K. Shanmugam and Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan. He falsely claimed the rental rates were locked in over 9 years. However, the tenancies are renewable every 2 to 3 years. Mr. Jeyaretnam is required to carry a correction notice on his Facebook and X pages that these posts contain false statements. It must also include a link to the government's clarification. Coming up on News Tonight, former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra returns home from self-exile and is immediately whisked off to prison. Plus, Japan puts into motion a controversial plan to release a treated radioactive wastewater from Fukushima.
Weather Report brought to you by Mitsubishi Electric.
Hello again, good to have you back. Well, Thailand finally has a new Prime Minister 3 months after general elections. Pheu Thai Party's Seta Thavisin has won the parliamentary vote to lead the next government. The 61-year-old real estate mogul secured 482 votes across the 2 houses of parliament, past the simple majority required. His win paves the way for Pheu Thai Party, which is helming an 11-party coalition, to form Thailand's next government. That's despite only coming in second at the May election. Saksit Sombat tells us if this is enough to end the political stalemate in Thailand.
It really depends who you ask. A lot of people will say finally. A lot of people will say that they're disappointed about what has happened, what has transpired, not only today in Parliament, but over the past 3 months since the general election. So just to recap, in May, the Reformist Progressive Move Forward Party won the most seats. They were trying to form a government. They were trying to put forward their leader, Peter Lim Charoenrat, as Prime Minister, but he was blocked by the same chamber, by the same lawmakers here at Parliament for the progressive reformist agenda. The Move Forward Party, with no other way forward, had to relinquish their control, gave them to the Pheu Thai Party. Then the Pheu Thai Party cobbled together a coalition with 10 other parties, some of them part of the former military government, some of them of the previous government. Now they have broken their own promises. They have gone into bed with parties they have called enemies not too long ago, but this is the arrangement that they have agreed on that has put Seta Thavisin, the Prime Minister candidate, the former property tycoon, over the line. Whether or not this is going to end a political deadlock, whether or not this is going to dissolve political divisions, as the coalition has touted in the days leading up to this vote, that remains to be seen, because they say they have dissolved political lines, but it is now new lines have been drawn, and especially against the Move Forward Party. And with a coalition that has so many parties, and so many parties of the previous government, that is quite a daunting task for the new government and for the new Prime Minister that he has to face.
The parliamentary vote comes as former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra returns to Thailand after 15 years in self-imposed exile. The 74-year-old billionaire was greeted with cheers by his red shirt supporters. This is the first time he has set foot in Thailand since 2008. He was then taken to the Supreme Court, where he was sentenced to 8 years in prison on a string of criminal convictions. Japan will start releasing treated radioactive water from the wrecked Fukushima nuclear power plant on Thursday. So this puts into motion a plan that has drawn strong criticism from locals and regional neighbors. Well, more than 1 million tons, or about 500 Olympic swimming pools worth of water, will be released into the Pacific Ocean. It will be done at a maximum rate of 500,000 litres per day. Japan insists the gradual release is safe, a view backed by the UN Atomic Agency. China has slammed Japan, calling it extremely selfish and irresponsible. Beijing accuses Tokyo of dumping nuclear-contaminated water into the ocean, what it says is a common property of all humankind. South Korea, however, struck a more optimistic tone. It says Japan's plan has no scientific or technical problems, assuring Tokyo has promised to issue hourly data updates. But it adds that does not mean it supports the plan. And that wraps up News 5 tonight. Join us again tomorrow. Have a good night.
This program is available on demand for free on Me